Center in Whitby, Ontario, home of the Brooklin Lacrosse Club, who play host to the Six Nations Chiefs, 2-0 on the season in Major Series Lacrosse. As we welcome you to our coverage this season, Jack Moore alongside Andrew Osmond. And Andrew, an exciting season coming up for both of these teams. Six Nations already off to a 2-0 start, and they get a big boost getting Brad Cree from the Oakville Rock in a trade earlier today.
Yeah, current news today in the MSL. You see here, newly acquired Brad Cree from the Oakville Rock, taking a bit of a sabbatical this season in the MSL. Hope to be back soon, but he's going to play for the Six Nations Chiefs this season here. He's, as you can see there, a member of the Toronto Rock in the LLL. Sports that A on his chest, so a leadership quality player is what's coming to this Chiefs squad here in the early on part of the season.
And they have reason to be excited again, like we mentioned. 2-0 on the year, a big trade. Brad Cree. They also have Lyle Thompson, the 2017 NLL MVP, who's taking a break from the PLL this season, already with 3 goals and 9 assists on the season. So another big addition for Six Nations, who was oh so close to winning a Major Series Lacrosse title last year, but falling short in the championship series against the Peterborough Lakers, who knocked off Brooklyn in their first round series. Before we get you to today's action, let's take you down to the floor in our special pregame ceremony.
A special presentation on center floor. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I knew them all. Yeah, always just call them. Oh yeah.
Let's hear it for Sully. Thank you. And now would you please rise if you're able, remove your caps, and join in the singing of the national anthem.
Oh,
national anthem over, and we are getting you set for the opening face-off between Six Nations and Brooklyn here on Rogers TV. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond with you as we take a look at today's starting goaltenders. And first up for the Six Nations Chiefs, Andrew.
We got Troy Holochuk calling up here as the call-up player for the Six Nations Chiefs, getting his first start of the season. The Chiefs are giving way to the Hill brothers in this one to start tonight's action against the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, so we'll see what he has in store. On the other end of the floor there, familiar face of this Brooklyn squad, Nick DeMood making his first start of the season. Riley Hutchcraft on the bench tonight backing up. He started in the first game for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club earlier this season in a loss to start their year.
That was on Sunday night in Coburg. Brooklyn missing 16 regulars from the lineup in that game. Had 12 players make their major series lacrosse debut. And they get the ball first to start this one in Whitby as they're trying to knock off Six Nations for the first time this season. 2-0 record, including an impressive 18-7 win against Brampton. Welcome back into the league this year after missing last season as that shot goes off the post. Brooklyn gets the rebound and resets offensively with a fresh shot clock. Early chance there from Pfeiffer, who had 4 assists in game number 1 for Brooklyn. Pfeiffer has it again as he works this one off, and the ball bounces into the corner, and making the play on it is Mason Kaminga for Six Nations, and they will scoop up. So just no shots technically on that opening possession for Brooklyn. And Lyle Thompson onto the floor now is breaking away is Cody Jamieson. Jamieson works this one back to Stotts. Now to the near side as Randy Stotts steps in, drops it back for Thompson. Lyle Thompson works that one back to Austin Stotts, cross floor, and that shot doesn't go for Six Nations. Cody Jamieson off to Austin Stotts. His shot stopped by Nick DeMood. And Brooklyn finds the defensive rebound and works it back up the floor. So Brooklyn able to hold off this Six Nations attack early on is McCrory back up the floor for Brooklyn, but an offensive foul against the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, and Six Nations takes over once again. Six Nations setting up as Patrick Corbett works it off to the wall, and Brendan Bombury drops it off for Thompson. His shot, that gets stopped by DeMood. Rebound picked up by Michael White, and away goes Brooklyn, but that pass unable to convert, and Six Nations quickly back up the floor again. Austin Stotts, 3 goals, 8 assists in the first 2 games for Six Nations to start this season. Driving towards the net, gets the ball knocked out of his stick, and Jordy Jones-Smith able to find it. Went away to the World Lacrosse Championships at the end of last year, so missed the end of the Brooklyn season. Brooklyn team who was competitive in that first round playoff matchup against Peterborough, who went on to win it all nationally. Devin Pfeiffer in the offensive zone. Setting up top is Brooklyn looking to go on the attack again. That shot gets turned away by Holochuk. Rebound picked up by Brooklyn. Zach Kerrigan, 4 of the 5 goals on Sunday for Brooklyn. Works this one off, and Goodchild gets it back up top. Brooklyn doing a good job early on and getting those offensive rebounds. Now 15 to shoot as that shot misses high and wide on the far side. Over and back against Brooklyn, and Six Nations will take over.
Yeah, a bit of back and forth so far. Both teams getting a lot of good scoring opportunities, especially Brooklyn, able to get a couple rebounds and have some advanced or increased offensive zone time on a couple opportunities.
Cody Jamieson works it back. Once again, Randy Stotts setting up from the side. Stotts on the pick play, down low. His shot misses high and wide on the near side. Loose ball on the near side of the floor, and Ben McDonnell will pick up for Brooklyn. Quickly up the floor. Works it off to the wall. Quick pass, Boyd fires a shot. That gets kicked away by Holochuk. Now to the net, Boyd shoots, and he didn't get a shot away on target, so that's a shot clock violation against Brooklyn, and Six Nations ball once again. Chiefs setting up in the offensive zone now. 0-0 game, though 4 minutes into this opening period. 2017 NLL MVP Lyle Thompson led his PLL team in scoring last season, taking a step away from the PLL this year. He was a game-time decision, but into the lineup, has 9 assists, was looking to make it 10 on the year, but that shot was turned away by Nick DeMood. Randy Stotts spinning away from a check, getting some help from his teammates. Austin Stotts works it off to the far wall. Now a shot comes on, stopped by DeMood. Shane Jackson, goal and 3 assists in the first 2 games of the season, looking to break the ice here 4.5 minutes into period number 1. Parker Pfeiffer into the offensive zone, driving to the net, turned back into the corner. Good defensive play by Kevin Hill, watching him as Pfeiffer walking towards the net, puts a shot wide, takes a unfriendly bounce for Brooklyn off the wall, and that starts a transition for Six Nations. Kellen LeClaire gets that pass off to Cody Jamieson as LeClaire gets the change on the transition. 15 to shoot for Six Nations. Randy Stotts to the net. His shot goes wide, and a foul in the offensive end of the floor by Six Nations as we get some pushing and shoving in front of the Brooklyn bench. And 2 guys going at it. Jacob Martinell tied up as one helmet comes off. That's off the Six Nations player, as the 2 guys tied up right in front of the Brooklyn bench, right in front of Riley Hutchcraft, and that's Charles Tommy Scanlon in the lineup for Six Nations. So those 2 will go off. It was off a missed shot by Six Nations and an offensive zone foul. So Brooklyn will get the ball back and they'll sort out the penalties.
And you'll see it was just as both players are heading off the change here, and then early on in the season, you want to set the tone. You want to make it seem like you guys are the tougher squad and want to hold your own. So here we are early on, the first matchup of the season between these 2 teams, and they're looking to set the pace early.
So we'll stay 5-on-5. Brooklyn ball from mid-floor. And Boyds works it off to the wall. Now stepping in and scores! Brooklyn gets on the board first. Liam Osborne's first of the season. It's 1-0 Brooklyn.
And you felt like that could have been building. This Six Nations squad coming in here red hot, 2-0, and one of the bigger teams and stronger and more skilled, you could say, on paper teams in the MSL. But Brooklyn holding their own pretty even early on, and here they go with their offensive chance, and you see it here cutting into the slot, and a quick shot there short side beats the goaltender, and that opens the scoring here in Whitby.
Adam Peroni wins the faceoff, so Brooklyn gets the ball back. Peroni loses it after he was tied up, and Six Nations will be able to corral it as Brian Cole brings it back into Brooklyn territory and works it off to Austin Stotts. Stotts, as I mentioned earlier, 8 assists already in the season, a good facilitator. Now it's Thompson shooting, and that gets turned away by DeMood, who's been on point early in this one. And a shot clock violation goes against Six Nations.
I think they'll discuss it here, as I think the officials thought it was blocked, and I think that's what they'll say. That shot from Thompson was blocked and didn't make its way to DeMood.
Six Nations, Stotts brothers trying to plead their case, but they don't get the favorable call. But foul against Brooklyn on the offensive end of the floor will give the Chiefs back the ball and back into Brooklyn territory, down by 1 early in this one. Jamieson works it off to Thompson. Lyle Thompson, a nice move. His shot goes over the far corner. Now picked up on the far side, and the one-time attempt by Thompson, unable to get all his stick on that one. Austin Stotts feeds it over to Brendan Bombury. Bombury's shot, that goes wide, and that'll be another shot clock violation against Six Nations. You just see that offensive skill from Lyle Thompson, the sidestep on John Leclerc.
Yeah,
to create space and drive to the net. Brooklyn now driving to the net themselves. They score 2-0 Brooklyn. Again, Liam Osborne.
and a nice little move there on the change. He comes on the floor, grabs the ball. We'll take a look at that, and he'll make a nice little spinorama move on the defender and cut right in front of the net and beat the goaltender Holochuk. You'll see it here. Spins away from the defender, gets the inside lane, and has a clear view of the net, and makes no mistake, it's 2-0 Brooklyn here early on in the first.
Liam Osborne with 2 in the first 6 minutes and 45 seconds of this first period. And Brooklyn with a 2-0 lead, and once again winning the faceoff to get control. Brooklyn looking for more. As that shot gets through, they score again. Zach Kerrigan this time led the team with 4 on Sunday, has his 5th of the season. 3 early goals from Brooklyn, and they have a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, 3-0 Brooklyn, just like that here in the opening 7+ minutes of the first period. And that one from Zach Kerrigan, as you said, led the team with 4 goals against Coburg in the losing effort, and here he gets on the board early on.
Brooklyn doing a good job of keeping Six Nations at bay when they're on the offensive end of the floor. As a scramble off the draw, and Six Nations finds it on the far side. Kellen LeClaire will set up, and Six Nations will go to work. Brad Cree, as we mentioned, acquired from the Oakville Rock, not participating in Major Series lacrosse this year. Austin Stotts spinning away to the net, and Randy Stotts is turned away once again by DeMood. Randy Stotts picks up again in the corner. 25 to shoot for Six Nations. Now it's Austin Stotts driving in on Young, and he's forced off to the boards. Randy Stotts up top. Stotts gets the screen, looking to drop that one back. He was looking for Brendan Bombury. Brooklyn doing a good job of knocking that ball loose as it works up the floor. Lyle Thompson can't knock it away and picks it up off the wall. So a 3-on-1 for Six Nations. Quick passing and a big save by Nick DeMood. Ball goes into the meshing. Another nice play by the Brooklyn goaltender.
Yeah, he's made a couple nice ones. That one so far, by far, is his best save of the evening.
3-on-1. Now it's Thompson, works it off to Stotts. That gets stopped again by DeMood.
Yeah, great positional save there by DeMood. Not falling for that Lyle Thompson behind the over-the-shoulder pass. He followed that perfectly and was square to that shot.
Brooklyn trying to get some more done at the offensive end of the floor. Liam Osborne with 2 in this one. Off the wall, and that shot goes wide from Luke Pilcher. And that'll work back over the floor for over and back against Brooklyn.
Well, if you're Six Nations, here's your chance here. You're down 3 quick, and you got an over and back. Time to take advantage as you start with the ball way down the floor.
Once again in the offensive zone. That one squeaks through to Mood. Able to slow it down in the crease. And set a restart for Jordy Jones-Smith up the floor. Jones-Smith with speed. Drops this one back, and Brooklyn sets up again. That long shot gets through. Tyler Goodchild, and it's 4-0 Brooklyn.
And just as I say, there's Six Nations' chance down the floor with the ball to start. And they missed that opportunity, and Brooklyn goes the other way, and you just said it right there. Tyler Goodchild from way out, actually. Might have been some traffic in front, but he made that bouncing shot look easy to make it 4-0 Brooklyn. And are we getting a timeout on the floor? Or a
Troy
goaltender
Holichuk
change?
making his way to the Six Nations bench, so John Tavares might be making a change in net.
And we'll take a look at that last goal here if we can from Tyler Goodchild.
But he comes to the bench, his helmet is off. So into the game is Dustin Hill. And so Six Nations making a goaltending change just 9 minutes and 10 seconds into the first period, down 4-0 to the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club.
Well, here's one way to shake it up for Six Nations. Not even halfway through the first period, you're already down 4. Put a different goaltender in and hope it goes to the legs of the runners now.
So Tyler Goodchild gets his first of the season, and that ball made its way to the Brooklyn bench. Keepsake for Goodchild, and Brooklyn looking for more. 10 seconds to shoot as that shot stopped by Hill. Rebound picked up in front, and kicked off to the wall by Six Nations' Kyle Rubish. And away goes Six Nations again to the offensive end of the floor. Austin Stott's shot, and DeMood just got a piece of that one as it takes a bounce out to center, and Jordy Jones-Smith will slow things down at the offensive end of the floor. Jones-Smith shielding it away as his teammates get a change. Works it off to the wall. Pfeiffer spinning away from pressure, tried a centering pass. That got knocked down and picked up by Brad Cree. Cree back up the floor for Six Nations. 4-0 over 10 minutes into the game for Brooklyn. Already a goaltending change for Six Nations. And an offensive foul against Six Nations will give Brooklyn the ball back. So you got to feel good if you're Jason Crosby and this Brooklyn team early on how you're doing against the top team in Major Series Lacrosse right now, as that shot gets stopped in front and bounces off to the corner. Brooklyn picks up again. That shot goes wide. Rebound in front and away goes Six Nations. Transition game important is Jamison Dilks. Regrouping on the wall and works it off to Austin Stotts. Stotts stepped up on by Michael Grace, but he drives towards the net and forced into the corner by Michael White. Good job by Brooklyn to knock that ball free, but Stotts gets it right back. Stotts drops it off for Randy Stotts. That one just missed and bounces into the crowd. So it will be Brooklyn ball and Zach Young on the restart. Devin Pfeiffer works it into the corner as Brooklyn looking for more. Parker Pfeiffer. Brothers teaming up on this Brooklyn team early in the season as that long shot from Goodchild goes wide. Six Nations back up the floor once again. That one worked off as Tyson Bell getting off in transition, driving to the net. Stopped by DeMood.
DeMood with another good stop, but also give credit to the Brooklyn defense here. Couple of these last rushes, just double teaming a guy just to get the ball away and kill some of their shot clock. That one there just collapsing right on the crease.
Pass into the corner over the head of the intended target, but Devin Pfeiffer picks up again and works this one off for Boyd. Long shot, stopped by Hill, rebound pops out. That one looking for is Nolan Ruddy. This ball picked up and shot just wide by Luke Pilcher. That one goes back over center floor, so that'll be over and back against against Brooklyn. We'll give Six Nations the ball back and a fresh shot clock.
And getting their top guys on as well here.
Randy Stotts into the corner for Thompson. Centering pass behind the back shot. DeMood just got a piece of it. Now Lyle Thompson works it back, and a good job by Corbett to keep it in. Thompson's shot stopped by DeMood, and the rebound picked up by Brooklyn.
Thompson's getting his shots in. He's just not beating DeMood so far.
Nick DeMood has looked good early on for this Brooklyn Lacrosse club. Brooklyn resetting again on the offensive end of the floor. Pfeiffer into the corner as he gets it back and gets checked. That ball comes loose and away goes Six Nations. Now with the chances, Kevin Hill with speed. Now to the net. That gets stopped by DeMood again. This time Brendan Bombury with the chance. Stotts stepping into the middle and regrouping as he works it back up top for Shane Jackson. Stotts into the corner for Bombury. Now back in front for Stotts. Stopped by DeMood again. Nick DeMood on point early on in this one. Six Nations putting a press on to force a turnover, and that's exactly what they do. Jamison in, stopped by DeMood. Now it's Brooklyn picking up the rebound, and they'll walk it over center court with Michael Grace. And Devin Pfeiffer will regroup back up top. Boyd steps into the middle, works this off to Pilcher, back to Boyd, looking for a shot, steps towards the net. Boyd shoots, stopped by Hill, and he finds his own rebound. Shade under 6 minutes to go here in period number one. 4-0 Brooklyn on the 2-0 Six Nations Chiefs. Brooklyn, just their second game of the season. This is their home opener After an 11-5 loss on Sunday to Coburg as Thompson shoots, stopped by Damoud, and he'll swallow up that rebound, and Brooklyn gets the restart once again. Michael White back to the offensive end of the floor. Liam Osborne slowing things down for Brooklyn. Osborne into the middle, now driving to the net, behind the back, off the post. Great chance for Brooklyn. Zach Kerrigan. He was looking for his second of the game, no dice there. Six Nations setting up as Randy Stotts into the middle, driving in, a pass cross floor, and they score! Shane Jackson breaks the ice with his second of the season, and Six Nations gets on the board with 5:01 to go in period number 1.
Well, we'll see if that starts a bit of a surge here from Six Nations on a nifty one-touch play there, a quick pass in to go cross floor, and you'll see it here, just little pick play, finds this man streaking down the far side, and then, like you said, Shane Jackson gets Six Nations on the board here. 4-1 Brooklyn with just a tick over 5 minutes to go in the first period.
So you see it at one end of the floor, Brooklyn with a great chance, goes off the post, and then Six Nations able to convert at the other end of the floor. Dustin Hill been holding it down between the pipes for the Chiefs. Driving in again was Tyson Bell. He was taken down driving to the net, and the ball popped free, so Brooklyn resetting here. Zach Young works this one back, and now Ruddy into the middle, works it off to the far wing. Young stepping in. That gets stopped by Hill. It really feels like Dustin Hill has settled things down in the crease for Six Nations since checking into the game, Andrew.
Yeah, not only making those key stops there and getting lucky with that one post attempt, but also just maybe having that solid guy behind you on the floor is helping the entire squad for Six Nations right now.
Damoud made another save in that sequence. Peroni picked up the rebound, got it over mid-floor. 20 seconds on the shot clock for Brooklyn. Pilcher off to Boyd. Stepping in, into the corner, works it back. Pfeiffer works this one off. Goodchild back in for Boyd. 5 to shoot. That shot goes wide. Picked up by Six Nations and flipped up the floor as Jamison Dilks over center. Randy Stotts back to the offensive end of the floor. 3 goals, 6 assists in the early going this season. And Lyle Thompson will step in. Thompson flips this one back. Picked up by Corbett. Corbett gets it back in front. Stopped by Damoud. This time with the big pocket of his stick. Corbett picks up the ball. Shot clock reset as that shot from not that far out goes wide off the stick of Cody Jamison. Six Nations picks it up once again. Lyle Thompson behind the back pass. Jamison shoots. Stopped by Damoud. Rebound on the near side as Jamison picks up again in the corner. Now back up top to Thompson. Now stepping in, and that shot stopped by Damoud, and he spins back and keeps it out of the net. That was one more bounce away from possibly going into the Brooklyn cage. Acrobatic save by Nick Damoud to keep it 4-1 for Brooklyn.
But that presence of Nick Damoud there to know that the ball's right at his feet and he could easily kick it in at any moment, and he made the perfect move you can make when you don't know exactly where the ball is to make sure not only does it not go in, but it gets away from your net, and that's exactly what he did there. That guy's dialed in right now.
15 seconds on the shot clock, 2:20 to go in the first period. Flip pass for Thompson, taken away by Young. And Six Nations will start a full court press to try and keep Brooklyn on their own end, but now it's a chance for Brooklyn as that shot stopped by Hill. Breakaway from Ryan McCrory. Pros and cons to that full floor press from Six Nations, trying to force the turnover on time, but unable to do so, and it led to a chance by McCrory, but once again, Hill standing tall in net for Six Nations. Pfeiffer. This one off. Kerrigan already with one in this one, and that shot goes off a Six Nations helmet, so that won't be over and back. goes back to the Brooklyn end of the floor, and fresh off the bench was Michael Grace to pick it up. Loose ball picked up by Six Nations, Kellen LeClaire. LeClaire in front of the Brooklyn net, works this one back, and Brian Cole will reset on the side. Cole being watched by Jordy Jones-Smith, and that pass over the head of the intended target, Charles Tommy Scanlon, and back to the Six Nations end of the floor, where Brooklyn will get a restart.
And with just 1:11 to go, you might see a couple of quick attempts here to get a shot or two in before holding for last shot of the period.
Ruddy taken down to the floor. A good defensive play by Kyle Rubish. Hill picks up the loose ball and works it up for Tyson Bell. Now it's Austin Stotts with Randy Stotts. Stotts scores! Transition play from Six Nations. Austin Stotts, 4th of the year. And the Chiefs have brought themselves back within 2 with 50 seconds to go in the first period.
And yeah, with 50 seconds to go, it's a 2-goal game here off the rush. As you said, Austin Stotts gets it past Nick DeMood here for the second goal of the game for the Chiefs. And an important draw here with 50 seconds to go can really cement your last possession if you play it right.
Face off at center floor, and it's Brooklyn coming away with it. Michael Grace works that one off to Young. And Brooklyn gets over mid-floor as they are looking for another offensive chance, but that one taken away. Lyle Thompson with speed. Thompson holding and waiting for his teammates to catch up. 25 seconds to go in the shot clock. Thompson works it back to Austin Stotts. They did a 4-2 game just 30 seconds ago. 15 on the shot clock. Stotts shoots, stopped by DeMood, and he swallows up the rebound in his equipment. 14.2 seconds to go in the first period, and Brooklyn gets it up the floor quickly. Pilcher into the middle, has space. His shot stopped by Hill off the end wall, and a pass down the floor will be picked off by Brooklyn, and that will end period number 1. So an explosive start for this Brooklyn Lacrosse club. They get out to a 4-0 lead. They chase Troy Holochuk from the game. Dustin Hill comes in. He's been perfect since he's entered the game. Six Nations gets 2 back, but it is a 4-2 lead for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby. We'll be back with your first intermission after the break. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. First intermission here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, Ontario, is the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club holding a 4-2 lead over the 2-0 Six Nations Chiefs. Welcome back into our coverage on Rogers TV. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond along with you. And Andrew, a first period where Brooklyn came out hot, a 4-0 lead early. They chased Troy Holochuk. If you're Jason Crosby, you couldn't have asked for more from your young squad.
Well, and that's the vibe we got from Jason Crosby when we talked to him pregame, is that he wants this Brooklyn squad this season to be, a fighter. They always want to fight. They want to push and crawl. They know they're not quite up to maybe Six Nations standards in terms of the veterans they got, the skill they got, the history they got. But they're in it, and they want to fight, and they want to win. There's a lot of, not bad blood, but there's a lot of revenge out there I got from Jason Crosby. So he's definitely happy with that 4-0 output they put early on to chase the starting goaltender for Six Nations. But then Hill comes in, the veteran presence behind there. He's been here before. He's come in for relief. He's got many minutes under his belt in lacrosse MSL, and that went to the legs of the Chiefs players, and they were able to get a couple goals and really weather the storm for the latter half of that first period. And we it is 4-2 for Brooklyn, but it feels more like an evenly matched game at this point.
Six Nations came out hot, and you really can't overlook the play at the other end of the floor in net in Nick DeMood, who's been phenomenal for Brooklyn in the opening 20 minutes of play.
Yeah, not just has he been great, but he's been robbing guys like Lyle Thompson and Brad Cree and Jameson as well. A couple of big-name guys that are not shy of putting it in the back of the net, and he's making point-blank saves through traffic, covering up those rebounds, keeping an eye of where the ball is as well. We saw a couple plays there at his feet where he's able to scoop it up or get it into the corner away from trouble. So he's really been dialed in so far, Nick DeMood, and Jason Crosby's got to be happy with that effort as well.
Talking about Jason Crosby, the head coach for Brooklyn. The other side on the bench, John Tavares, the head coach of this Six Nations Chiefs team. He's got a big game to coach on Saturday night, Game 3 of the NLL Championship Series. His Buffalo Bandits right back where they were a season ago against the Colorado Mammoth. But he had to make a coaching decision early. But you just look at the pedigree behind the bench for this Six Nations squad, both on the floor and coaching as well.
Yeah, John Tavares, the legend he is in the lacrosse world and leader in points and assists in the NLL so far, not so far, but all time, I should say, in that league. So he's the legend coming back here. You mentioned he's got a big game for Buffalo this week, but you know, you looked at last season for the Six Nations squads, they were just there against the Peterborough Lakers, neck and neck throughout the season and going into the finals and all that sort of stuff. And you bring a guy like this in, John Tavares in, and that's just another level you can take this team to that was just that close last season. So this is the step that they're trying to make this year. And so far, 2-0, you can't complain about the results.
We'll take a look at some of the highlights from that opening 20 minutes of play here in Whitby. And again, off the jump, Brooklyn getting those ones to go in early to get some confidence, get some of that swagger going in period number 1.
Yeah, exactly. You said it right there. Get that swagger going. They looked very, very confident in the opening 10 minutes of this game, especially when they had that 4-0 lead, really holding their own, we see here, against the Six Nations Chiefs. And it was goals of all kinds. We saw a nice spin to the net there into the slot to beat the goaltender. We've seen a couple point-blank shots from high in the slot that made its way through, a skipped shot as well. But then it was Six Nations coming back. There we see Shane Jackson, and then soon we see here, and there's the save there from Nick DeMood where it was at his feet and he spun away and got the ball into the corner away from trouble. And then here, towards the end of the period, it was now at that point 4-2, Austin Stotts getting the Six Nation Chiefs their second goal of the game.
Yeah, Liam Osborne, the first 2 goals for Brooklyn, his first 2 of this season. We saw Tyler Goodchild get his first of this season, and he got that ball to the bench after he scored it. But Zach Kerrigan now 5 goals in his first game in a period for this Brooklyn Lacrosse club, and he looks like he can be an offensive threat. You really think about some of those Brooklyn guys who have the chance of coming back. Dyson Williams played in the national championship game just 2 days ago in Philadelphia for Duke, losing 13-9 to Notre Dame. But if Zach Kerrigan can weather that storm offensively until Brooklyn gets some big pieces back, that can be huge for Jason Crosby.
Yeah, Zach Kerrigan's a guy that I'm really going to be watching closely over the next little while. If Dyson Williams does come back, how does that play into Kerrigan's, offensive zone time and power play time? Because Dyson Williams is just that dynamite player that can really turn the game around in just a snap of the fingers. But Kerrigan, 5 goals, you mentioned 4 last game. And he tried a behind-the-shoulder shot in this one that shows that guy's got the confidence right now. He feels hot. He feels like he can score at any opportunity. So that's a guy I'm going to look for the rest of this game and the season coming up.
Can he get any more in period number 2? We'll find out after the break. His Brooklyn Lacrosse Club leading Six Nations 4-2 through 20 minutes of play. There you see John Tavares making his way back to the Six Nations bench as his Chiefs down 4-2 after the opening 20 minutes of play here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, as Brooklyn makes their way back onto the floor after an impressive first period. And we talked about it in that first intermission, Andrew, but again, you can't overstate how important Nick DeMood is early on in this game for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club.
No, you cannot overstate it. That's why we're going to keep talking about it too, is that guy's seeing everything right now. Shots through traffic, and he's had a couple actually good point-blank saves. I remember back in that first period, we didn't get a chance to show the highlight of it, but Lyle Thompson was on a partial break, just almost one-on-one with Nick DeMood and tried to go up high, and DeMood made put his hand on it and made the save. One of those, instinctual saves, not a positional save, one where it's just one-on-one. Where's this guy going? And a top scorer like Lyle Thompson's coming in on Nick DeMood, and Nick DeMood gets the better of him, and so far has for this game so far, keeping Lyle Thompson off the board. And I know it's early on in the season, but this Six Nations Chiefs squad, not only is outscoring, goal differential of 12 more goals than their opposition so far this season, but they got 6 of the top 7 scorers in the MSL within the first 2 games. So quite a high-powered offense squad this Six Nations Chief team is, and Nick DeMood so far is up to the task.
Yeah, really an impressive team, both on paper and on the floor, and have shown that through their first 2 games. Brooklyn on Sunday was tied 3-3 after period number 1 in Coburg, and went on to get outscored 4-1 in the following 2 periods respectively. That shot stopped by the mask of Hill. Hard shot from Trent Boyd, so Six Nations gets the first save of the second period as Austin Stotts rips a shot that goes wide. And that rebound will be picked up by Brooklyn on the long change in period number 2. Peroni into the corner and steps around the Six Nations bench to the near side, flips it up top, but that's over the head of Zach Kerrigan. And back to the Brooklyn end of the floor where Six Nations will get a restart from the corner. It gives Brooklyn a little bit of time to reset here. Randy Stotts off to Lyle Thompson. Thompson gets a screen, his shot goes wide, rebound picked up by Brooklyn, and away goes Brooklyn and Ryan McCrory. McCrory passes that one to the net, waiting, and that shot stopped by Hill once again. Liam Osborne looking for the hat trick. Had 2 in the early going in period number 1 at the first 2 goals of the game. His first 2 of the season. Now it's Austin Stotts looking for his second of the game, stopped by DeMood, and the rebound picked up by Lyle Thompson. Six Nations with a fresh shot clock now down to 20 seconds. Jamison off to Stotts, stopped by DeMood, and he picks up that rebound and able to float this one off to the corner for Ben McDonnell. Now it's Zach Kerrigan. Back to McDonnell, who's looking for a change, and he'll give it right back to Zach Kerrigan. Pfeiffer off the bench, driving towards the net. Now it's Pilcher. Off to the wall, 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. Pilcher down low, Pfeiffer's shot stopped by Hill, and the rebound stays in the crease. So nothing Parker Pfeiffer can do to try and pick that one up as Six Nations back up the floor. Randy Stotts driving towards the net. His shot stopped by DeMood, and Brooklyn will get that ball back. Six Nations trying to do it from everywhere. Long shots driving to the net. Quick passing plays, but DeMood up to the task so far in this one is Trent Boyd setting up in the offensive zone for Brooklyn. Looking to extend their lead as Boyd stepping in, flips this one back, and Osborne tied up, hacking away as Six Nations, and that shot clock will hit 0, so that will be Chiefs ball.
And that's 2 straight possessions where Brooklyn had to work it right down to the end of that shot clock, and that's not because they were waiting, that's because Six Nations was playing so strong defensively, not giving any opportunity for Brooklyn.
Lyle Thompson into the middle, holding, and works it back up top. Austin Stotts on the wall into the middle. Stotts stepping in, that shot over the net, and it will make its way back to center floor and kept in by Six Nations. A good job by Bombury. End of the shot clock, just 5 to shoot. Brooklyn will take over and bring it back up the floor. Michael Grace slowing things down as Parker Pfeiffer. Offensive end of the floor, able to hold on to that one after having a Chiefs player draped all over him, and Hill makes the save between his shin pad and the floor and pins it there, so he gets the stoppage. Lyle Thompson now stepping in, his shot stopped by DeMood, rebound picked up by Six Nations, foot in the crease, so it's Brooklyn ball.
And another great stop there from Nick DeMood on Lyle Thompson, but Lyle Thompson's been getting his looks. I think he's just missing his spots right now. Right there, those are kind of the opportunities where there is room in the net from Nick DeMood, who's making the great saves.
Now Brooklyn with a chance. Pilcher stepped in the crease. It didn't matter anyway. That ball went out of play, hopped up in the meshing and pinned up to the glass. So a new ball on the floor, and Six Nations gets it right back. Shane Jackson, one of the 2 Six Nation goal scorers in period number 1. Now it's Lyle Thompson making a move, stepping in, stopped by DeMood, rebound picked up by Six Nations. Regrouping is Charles Tommy Scanlon. Back up top to Jackson. Thompson into the corner as the Chiefs with 20 seconds to shoot. Now into the middle as Stotts rang the iron. Austin Stotts finds the rebound. Shane Jackson off to Randy Stotts. Now it's Thompson. Being watched by Jordy Jones-Smith. Thompson's shot, that gets kicked away by DeMood. Rebound is Brooklyn looking for it. Battling there is John Leclerc. And that ball pinned up to the wall by McDonnell. Loose on the floor still. And that gets kicked away, and Brooklyn up the floor quickly. Trent Boyd, fresh off the bench, down low for Pfeiffer. Devin Pfeiffer looking for some help from his teammates as they work it around the floor. 15 to shoot. Parker Pfeiffer couldn't control the pass, loose ball. Ruddy looking for it at center floor, swipes it back into offensive territory, but Brooklyn will concede it to be Six Nations ball. Now a chance in transition, they score! Brian Cole going hard to the net. And Six Nations with 3 unanswered bring themselves within 1.
Yeah, and that's 3-0 as soon as they made the goaltending swap. As we see Brian Cole just streak down the center of the floor, and can't recall if he made the shot while in air. No, afterwards. So he made the shot before, and then he falls to the floor just before the end boards there. But yep, gets the Chiefs within 1 now.
Brian Cole was the one who started the transition play, got it off to Cody Jamieson, who picks up another assist on the season, already with 7 coming into this game in the first 2 games. Six Nations back within 1 for the first time since it was 1-0 Brooklyn. Luke Pilcher off to Parker Pfeiffer. Now it's Trent Boyd stepping in. His shot shouldered away by Hill. Rebound goes back into Brooklyn territory, but because of the deflection, no over and back, so Brooklyn has a little bit of time to regroup as Pilcher will let the ball settle in front of the crease and get the shot clock reset. Pilcher into the corner for Parker Pfeiffer. Now it's Kerrigan, and he scores! Second of the game for Zach Kerrigan, and he restores the 2-goal Brooklyn advantage.
And there's that confidence we were talking about. Getting on the goal column once again here tonight. His second goal of this game, and he restores a bit of a more comfortable lead for Brooklyn, but nothing's comfortable against the Six Nations team that's just so powerful offensively. But 5-3 is the score here for Brooklyn over Six Nations in the second period.
13.5 to go in period number 2. Brooklyn gets their first goal against Dustin Hill. So 5-3 advantage against this Six Nations Chiefs team who finished second in Major Series Lacrosse last season to the Peterborough Lakers. Austin Stotts into the corner for Shane Jackson. Back up top for Lyle Thompson. Thompson stepping in, forced down to the floor as he's being watched by Grace. And Michael Grace, a good play to knock that ball loose, and away goes Brooklyn up the floor. Aaron pass, but picked up by Devin Pfeiffer at the offensive end. Pfeiffer stepping out in front, still holding as he gets knocked down to the floor, and Trent Boyd will regroup for Brooklyn. William Osborne comes off the bench as Boyd works it off to Pfeiffer. He scores! Devin Pfeiffer gets his first of this season. 6-3 Brooklyn.
There's a way to bounce back just when things get a bit too close and uncomfortable. Brooklyn comes back and gets 2 to double up right now. The Six Nations Chiefs 6-3, that one, as you said, courtesy of Devin Pfeiffer. And that one coming from far out of the zone as well, or far out from the crease.
Great job by Pfeiffer to fend off that Six Nations defense. The getting knocked down to the floor and back up to his feet. Able to spin, shoot, score to make it 6-3 for Brooklyn, and Zach Young gets possession again for Brooklyn. 6-3 lead for this Brooklyn Lacrosse club as Trent Boyd steps into the middle, holding on the side. Now it's McCrory into the corner. Kerrigan back to McCrory, who's being checked up to the wall. Now double team, but he spins away from pressure and couldn't get the shot away before the end of the shot clock, so Six Nations will take over once again. Back up the floor for the first time since falling down 6-3. Second time in this one, Brooklyn's had a 3-goal advantage. 3-0 and now 6-3. And their 2 unanswered goals stopped that 3-goal run by Six Nations. That shot knocked away by DeMoog goes out of play, so it'll remain Six Nations ball with a fresh shot clock in the Brooklyn end of the floor. Austin Stotts for Shane Jackson. Jackson to Jamison in front, couldn't get a shot away as he couldn't corral that loose ball. And it bounces back in the Brooklyn zone out to center floor, and it's finally picked up by Jack Travasos. Devin Pfeiffer scoring that 6th goal for Brooklyn. First of the season, same as Goodchild. That ball made its way over to the Brooklyn bench. Now Osborne off to Pfeiffer. Works it back up top. Devin Pfeiffer again. His shot stopped by Hill. He's able to swallow up the rebound. 10.5 to go in period number 2. Charles Tommy Scanlon lost his helmet. Being told to get off the floor, still having words with the Brooklyn player Michael White, who knocked it free as that pass errant for Six Nations, and DeMoog gets it back up the floor for Ben McDonnell. McDonnell off to Parker Pfeiffer. Now Trent Boyd works it up top, and that pass goes off the stick of Luke Pilcher, and now Six Nations back up the floor with some speed. Austin and Randy Stotts coming off the bench as Lyle Thompson playing some transition game here in period number 2. Bounces off the check into the corner. And that pass works it to the near side. Stotts to Randy Stotts. And that was stopped by DeMoog and starts a transition for Brooklyn. Kerrigan was going hard to the net. Devin Pfeiffer steps in. Now a pass in front. Boyd scores! Trent Boyd gets in on the action. His 2nd of the year. 7-3 Brooklyn, their 2nd 4-goal advantage of the game. And we get a water break for Dustin Hill. But this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club team has now gone on a 3-goal run of their own.
And this play right there by Trent Boyd, a nifty one, made a couple fakes on the goaltender Dustin Hill, and then brings it back near side and goes just over the shoulder and gets that one in. As we have that bit of a water break here for the goaltenders, and Nick DeMoog having a word there with the official. But turning some heads here midway through the game. 7-3 for Brooklyn over the Six Nations Chiefs. Looks like Brooklyn more just kind of regrouping here, but Six Nations huddling over and going over a couple plays with the coaching staff.
John Tavares spending a long time with his forwards here. Six Nations playing their 3rd game of this Young Major Series lacrosse season. If you remember, the start of last year's Major Lacrosse Series season was pushed back. There was a delayed start to the year. Brooklyn finished 3rd. They played the Peterborough Lakers in round 1. Lost in that opening round series, and then Peterborough would go on to knock off Six Nations in the championship series. Brampton checks into the league once again this season. Still no Oakville, so that's why Brad Cree is here for Six Nations, and Luke Pilcher gets in on the action. 8-3 for Brooklyn. Pilcher's first of the season. And the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club pouring it on here in period number 2. another 4-goal run.
Yeah, Luke Pilcher getting on the board here just, what was that, 30 seconds later after the 7th goal for Brooklyn. This now making it the 8th, and that one just a point-blank shot, beating the goaltender, Dustin Hill, who maybe didn't quite have his bearings after that water break as he settled back into the net to face that first shot.
Six Nations going on the attack here, and they're looking for something quick. Brad Cree stepping in, and that gets stopped by the move. Cree picks up the rebound, and Six Nations wasn't ready for it, so Jamison stays on the floor. Six Nations getting a quick change with 21 to go on the shot clock. Bombury works it off to Austin Stotts. Stotts steps into the middle, fires, that shot goes wide, and that's going to be over and back against Six Nations. So unable to get anything going there. Brad Cree with a shot, picked up his own rebound, and then the missed shot by Six Nations for over and back. Devin Pfeiffer will set up once again for Brooklyn. Brent Boyd couldn't control the pass. It bounces to Hill in the crease, and he'll float this one off as Ty Logan will start the transition for Six Nations, trying to stop the bleeding. 4-goal run to start the game for Brooklyn, then a 3-goal run to make it 4-3. That swing went Six Nations' way, and then another 4-goal swing for Brooklyn as Lyle Thompson shoots that one wide, and away goes Brooklyn again in transition. Jacob Martineau out in front. That shot goes wide. It was stopped by Hill. He just got a piece of it. Liam Osborne once again looking for his 3rd of the game. Now Lyle Thompson with speed back into the Brooklyn zone. Down to the goal line as that pass in front finds Austin Stotts in the near corner. 20 to go in the shot clock. Thompson holding and waiting. Back to Jackson. Stepping in, his shot goes wide. Bounces off the wall. Thompson looking for the loose ball. Just 5 to go. No, they'll get the shot clock reset. And Six Nations will regroup once again. Jamison couldn't control that pass, but Six Nations finds it again. Austin Stotts for Jamison. Off his stick, bounces into the corner as he gets watched by McDonnell. Jamison off to Stotts. Over to Thompson. Lyle Thompson spinning away from Peroni. 5 to shoot for Thompson as he gets knocked down to the floor. From his back, shoots it wide. Chance at the side, stopped by Damoud. Never actually touched him, so that will be a shot clock violation against Six Nations. Again, another good defensive sequence for Brooklyn as Six Nations trying to stop the bleeding. 6:15 to go in period number 2. It was 4-2 Brooklyn after period 1. It's 8-3 Brooklyn now. Six Nations forces the turnover. Tyson Bell into the offensive zone. Randy Stotts into the corner for Jamison. Forced to the wall. Jamison steps out from the corner. Back up top, Bombury. Off to Randy Stotts, being watched by Zach Young. Now Austin Stotts out in front, and Bombury gets knocked down in front of the Brooklyn net by Jack Travasos. So it will be Six Nations ball with a fresh shot clock.
And another long one, it looks at that, for Brooklyn's defenders to be on the floor here. Multiple possessions back to back.
Jamison, cross floor for Randy Stotts, and that gets stopped by Damoud. Making another nice play in between the pipes as Randy Stotts with a nice shove as Brooklyn running back up the floor. 5:25 to go in period 2. Brooklyn on a 4-0 run here in the second period, outscoring Six Nations 4-1 in this middle frame. Devin Pfeiffer works that one off. It goes off the stick of Boyd and taken away by Six Nations. There's Tyler Biles looking for the loose ball, and that one gets worked off to Kyle Rubish. Austin Stotts walking in, stopped by Damoud, rebound, Stotts scores! Caught Damoud out of position, stopped the bleeding, and Austin Stotts with his second of the game makes it an 8-4 contest.
Well, there you have it. Austin Stott's second goal of the game. 8-4 now for Brooklyn. Six Nations with just 4:51 to go. Down 4. He gets that rebound. Nick DeMood with the initial save and then couldn't quite recover and get tall enough as Austin Stott was able to put it over his back and in the net for his second of the game.
Loose ball off the face-off, and Six Nations comes away with it. Trying to start a run, Austin Stott's looking for his third of the game. That shot goes wide and out of play, and it will be Brooklyn ball.
Brooklyn will get the ball here with a fresh shot clock up the floor. Trying to get their 9th of the game here.
2 for Osborne and Kerrigan. Pfeiffer with a shot that gets partially blocked. Bounce in front of the net, taken away by Biles, and away goes Six Nations. Austin Stotts fresh off the bench, return feed, that shot stopped by DeMood. Brad Cree trying to get something going in his first game with Six Nations. Loaned to the Chiefs for this season. Oakville anticipated to return in 2024. Just 4 teams in the league last year, and like we mentioned earlier, Brampton back in action in 2023. It's a chance for Jackson. His shot gets stopped by DeMood. Just got a piece of it. Looked like he might have missed wide off that far post, but Six Nations gets the fresh shot clock. Austin Stotts off the far wall, and Jackson unable to find it because Peroni was knocked down in the Brooklyn zone, so it's Brooklyn ball with 3:22 to go in period number 2.
Brooklyn bench looking for a call there as Tyson Bell was getting pretty aggressive to a guy just trying to head off for a change.
Other than those coincidental roughing penalties, no team going to a power play so far in this one as Mason Kaminga starts the transition for Six Nations, and he and Brian Cole will head off. Cole picking up his second of the season earlier for the Chiefs in this one. It's Jamison. Sets up top. Now Thompson shoots, stopped by DeMood. Rebound picked up by Six Nations. And with it, a fresh shot clock. Austin Stotts off to the corner, and now we will see a penalty. And it will go against Six Nations, I believe, is some pushing after the fact. An extra hack going to Luke Pilcher from Austin Stotts, and it will be Cody Jamison going to the penalty box. I jinxed it. I said we had seen a clean game. Six Nations called for the first penalty of the game, so with 2:37 to go in period number 2 and an 8-4 lead, Brooklyn is going to the power play.
Yeah, Brooklyn working with 2 power play goals on the year so far. So they have found success in their opening game of the year, this being their second. And they'll have a chance here to make it a 5-goal game.
Tyson Bell was trying to catch Brooklyn sleeping, but Roger Nurse, the referee, hadn't whistled in the play.
Yeah, we're playing within the rules here, guys.
Trent Boyd works this one off. The clock hasn't started yet, and the buzzer going, so they have to settle things down.
And they'll look to probably just restart the play, I would guess.
Had the penalty up on the board. 2:30 to go in period number 2.
Oh, they're just going to take time off the clock here. And now people are explaining the clock is running, which they did by 10 seconds. I think that's a clock runoff. I don't know if they'll bring it back to 2:30. We're watching on just like all of you here. It looks like they're not satisfied with the clock, so they're gonna trying to make it 2:15 on the clock.
I think when they put the
penalty up on the board, they actually accidentally changed the game clock. So they're trying to get the two to coincide. It looks like the penalty gets up on the board, and Parker Pfeiffer looks like he set it center floor.
And they're putting the full 2 minutes of the penalty back on, but the clock was not at 2:17.
First time anybody's had to do it all season. First game for everyone.
First time back here.
Brooklyn had their first game of the season on the road on Sunday. Felt good, and again, we talked about missing 16 regulars, 12 players making their major series lacrosse debuts. We get the clock figured out. Brooklyn goes to the power play. Felt good after leaving period number 1 with a 3-3 tie, but then being outscored 8-2 in the next 40 minutes of play. But they've been pouring it on here as Hill makes the save from Parker Pfeiffer's shot on the power play, just 13 seconds into the man advantage. So we will see a shot clock restart, and Six Nations trying to kill off the full 30 seconds on this clock here with Cody Jamieson in the penalty box. Randy Stotts works it into the corner, now out in front, they score! Charles Tommy Scanlon gets his first of the season. This one's a short-handed marker. So the special teams going the way of Six Nations first in this one.
Yeah, not the look that you probably want if you're Jason Crosby and the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, as we see the celebration there from Six Nations getting it shorthanded. But here's a look at that. We'll try to re-rack that. Here we go. Nope. We'll get it. We'll get it to you in the highlights. We'll make sure of that.
Charles Tommy Scanlon gets on the board. Six Nations now down by 3 once again. 2 minutes to go in period 2. They win the ensuing face-off, so took some time off the clock. Good 23 seconds, and Scanlon scored. And Six Nations back with possession. And we mentioned it throughout the course of the first and second period here, and it feels like Six Nations is right there to break through offensively. Sometimes you don't think it's going to be a shorthanded goal that'll spark something, but Brooklyn will now get their second possession of this power play, coming 57 seconds after their first. So a good job by this Six Nations penalty kill, and they also pick up a shorthanded marker to boot. Now can they get a stop is the big question. Parker Pfeiffer off to Devin Pfeiffer. That shot stopped by Hill, so Six Nations does get the stop. Penalty clock and shot clock have a 6-second differential. Won't be a ton of time left on the power play when Brooklyn gets the ball back, if they can corral a rebound or force a shot clock violation, as we're under a minute to go here in period number 2. Austin Stotts driving in, knocked off the ball and checked down to the floor, but he picks it back up and spinning away from Parker Pfeiffer, now driving to the net. Stotts stopped by the mood.
What an effort from Stotts there. Gets knocked down, loses the ball, loses his stick. As he gets up, he grabs his stick with one hand, scoops the ball, gets thrown into the boards, still has the ball, gets up, just manhandles his way to the front of the net, and gets a shot on net, and he's going to stretch out as he heads off to the bench. As we see it here, the stick knocked out of his hand, gets knocked down. As he gets knocked down, he scoops up the ball. He has it in his stick right now, and he spins away from trouble a couple times, makes that diving effort to try to go all the way around Damoud, who just stops him. One of those highlight goals that you just say, just if that went in, that's on my career highlight reel.
He's got a few of those. Showing off that big frame. 2 goals already in this one. He was looking for the hat trick, looking for Six Nations' second shorthanded goal of the game. There's only been 1 power play. It's got 3 seconds left, and Brooklyn will restart from just north of their own crease. 40 seconds to go in period number 2. So you'd have to imagine that Brooklyn will concede the end of this power play and try and get that clock down as low as possible, potentially, or try for a quick shot and trying to get a second possession here to end the period. Trent Boyd. Back to Pfeiffer. We're 5-on-5 as that pass was knocked down. Pfeiffer stays in the offensive zone. A nice pass down low as that shot by Kerrigan, stopped by Hill. 18.5 seconds to go for Six Nations. And they will take a timeout, so John Tavares wants to talk it over. So shot clock turned off, and Six Nations will get the final possession of period number 2 here. So you'd imagine Dustin Hill will stay on the Six Nations bench.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to hop on in as they open the door for him, and you see John Tavares there talking it over with his offensive squad. And it's 8-5 here. A goal here would make it a 2-goal game, which makes it a very interesting third period at this point regardless. But a 2-goal game, you can get within striking distance pretty quickly come third period. And then you have an even up game. So Brooklyn's going to look to do what they've been doing well all game. Play strong defensively. Nick DeMood, he's been solid as well. Look to defend off these Chiefs for about 16 seconds, or as we got 14-6 on our clock. But Six Nations will have to start from their own end of the floor. They'll rush it up pretty quick.
And it's one of those awkward ones. You don't want to move too fast to allow time for a transition play for Brooklyn, but you have to get something off. 7 seconds to go here as Thompson works it off. That cross-floor pass, they score! So Six Nations converts with 2.3 seconds to go in period number 2. Shane Jackson gets his second of the game. And like the first period, it was a 4-3 advantage for Brooklyn. Period number 2 will end with a 4-3 goal advantage for Brooklyn as well.
And there you go. And right here, Nick DeMood just, I think he was anticipating shot coming in there, but it was actually a pass across to Shane Jackson. And they're just going to run the clock here and end things at 8-6 after 2 periods of play.
So Brooklyn gets out to a 4-0 lead in period number 1. Six Nations with 3 unanswered goals to bring themselves back within 1. And then Brooklyn goes on a 4-goal run once again, but Six Nations getting a couple back. So the Chiefs within striking distance heading into the third period, but it is an 8-6 advantage for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club in their home opener for the 2023 Major Series Lacrosse season. And we'll have your second intermission coming up for you after the break from the Iroquois Park Sports Center. Welcome back inside the Iroquois Park Sports Center in Whitby, Ontario. Jack Moore and Andrew Osmond along with you. And Andrew, the first period ended, and you had to feel good if you were Brooklyn. Six Nations gets the first goal of period number 2, but then Brooklyn has to feel pretty good about how the rest of the period went, even though Six Nations scored with just 2 seconds to go in that middle frame. But really a good period from Brooklyn, and they're putting together a nice game for a team that's a lot younger and a team that's a lot less experienced than this Six Nations Chiefs team.
Well, let's expand things a bit more than just tonight's game to last game as well. Let's double up the time here. And you go back and you say that Brooklyn wasn't able to capitalize much after the first period of play. They were out to that 4-0 lead in the first period, so you say, okay, things are a bit usual. We're used to this. We've seen this in Brooklyn before. But then the second period, 4 goals in a row, back to back to back to back for Brooklyn, and that's got to feel good for Jason Crosby and the rest of the coaching staff for Brooklyn to say, yeah, we can compete in the second period, but now it's time to go to that third period and keep the level up high against the Six Nations team. You've limited their scoring, a team that has that offensive threat, and you've already been able to limit them to under their average at this pace so far on the year. And, you know, just all positive sides going towards, you know, a bit of a different team from the last game in game 1 for Brooklyn to this game here, especially at that period number 2 effort, not letting things get out of hand like they had in their first game.
Well, you see Six Nations in their last game, they went out and scored 18. They outscored Brampton 18-7. they come into this one, you're thinking it's going to happen. They get some offensive opportunities. Nick DeMood there, and he's continuously been there in the crease for this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club team. We talked about him at the first intermission, and like you mentioned in that second period, we're going to keep talking about him because he continuously makes plays that make us talk about him.
Yeah, Nick DeMood's been solid. He's been seeing the shots well. He's been, you got to give credit to the Brooklyn defenders as well, keeping the shots from outside as much as possible. But that doesn't mean that Six Nations hasn't had their looks, hasn't had their shots. Lyle Thompson's had a couple point-blank chances, hasn't been able to capitalize. Just that last goal there at the end of the period, Nick DeMood got a bit turned around, anticipated the shot, and got caught looking a little bit as the pass went across the crease, and they scored in the empty net on the backside of him, and he was unable to stop that one. Other than that, Nick DeMood's been absolutely solid. So have the Brooklyn defenders been able to kind of keep pressure on the Six Nations Chiefs forwards there that are trying to get their shots in. They're getting them in, but they're not quite sneaking them past DeMood, who's in the positional spots as we expect them to, but also making those nifty, instinctual saves as well.
We'll take a look at some of the highlights from period number 2, and it was Six Nations getting on the board first, but then again, Brooklyn going on that run after Six Nations getting the first goal of the period.
Yeah, Six Nations right here. You see them flying in, going short side before, and that's Brian Cole flying on in on the rush to get the Six Nations on the board there in the second period. But then it was Brooklyn here that kind of settled things down, took their time. They got their guys off the bench, and shots, a couple of them as you see there from outside of the defenders and kind of sneaking them through. I think we'll see another one here. This one here, cut to the net, and then go far side, beating the goaltender, Dustin Hill. But then again, Brooklyn here, just open man in front, and a sick move there by Trent Boyd, making a couple fakes and then a shot there. And that's the one I don't know if Dustin Hill was really ready for from Luke Pilcher, as that was just after the water break timeout. And then we see here, after those 4 goals, it comes back, and here's Stotts picking up the rebound and going up and over Nick DeMood on his initial shot. And then as they score in bunches, as they do, another one right there from the Chiefs, courtesy of Tommy Scanlon, his first of the year. And then this one at the end of the period, the one that Nick DeMood got a bit spun around on, coming from Shane Jackson. And that's where we stand at the end of that period, 8-6 for Brooklyn as we head into the third period.
Yeah, Six Nations really weathering the storm, but you weren't really expecting it in that second period, that after Six Nations got that first goal, there was some feeling in here like, hey, this might start the run for Six Nations that they were looking for. But then Brooklyn got that cool-off that they were looking for, and really this Brooklyn Lacrosse Club at their home opener looking to get things done against the Six Nations Chiefs, who are 2-0 on the season. Brooklyn hasn't picked up a win, just the one game on Sunday against Coburg. And we talk about the tons of guys that have been missing from this Brooklyn team. Well, they're doing it without them here tonight, and they're 20 minutes away from picking up win number 1. But we have 20 minutes to decide this one. It's 8-6 for Brooklyn heading into period number 3 next. You're watching Major Series Lacrosse on Rogers TV. Kaminga ready to go for period number 3, as Brooklyn has an 8-6 lead over this Six Nations Chiefs team, and Brooklyn yet to make their way down to the floor from their change room, but Six Nations ready to go, and they have some work ahead of them going into period number 2 as Brooklyn makes their way onto the floor now. And just 20 minutes separate the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club in their first victory of the season with a 2-goal advantage heading into this final frame, Andrew.
Yeah, 2-goal advantage. They'll look to keep that, if not extend it, but play a strong defensive game here. Six Nations, of course, their offensive push will come out. Can't expect that. They're an offensive powerhouse in the MSL, and just signed a guy to, or just traded for a guy to get that offensive threat on the board, and Brad Cree, who's been unable to score yet. And it's really been the big guys that haven't been able to capitalize in terms of Lyle Thompson and Brad Cree.
Same as Lyle Thompson getting his chances. Brad Cree in transition, primarily playing that defender spot, but getting his chances in transition, but they just don't go. And again, that speaks to the quality of play from Nick DeMood, as Kerrigan was taken down to the floor. Ruddy picks up on the wall as Brooklyn has 10 to shoot. Up top for Boyd. Steps away from the defender and fires one wide, and that springs a breakaway for Six Nations. Brian Cole scores! 28 seconds into period number 3. It's a 1-goal game. Brian Cole's second of the night.
And just what I was about to say, he just got juked out of his shoes. You can see the grin from him as he comes off the floor. He went to go block that point shot, I believe, from Trent Boyd of Brooklyn, and the rebound went off the end boards, and because he blew past the shot block, he was way out in the center of the floor and picked up that loose ball and had plenty of time.
Now it's Lyle Thompson, but he mishandles it on the pass that was a little low. So Brooklyn starting a transition as Ryan McCrory to the offensive end of the floor. Pilcher driving to the net, but Peroni couldn't see him in time. Devin Pfeiffer into the corner. Driving in is Osborne, forced back to the wall. Parker Pfeiffer, who has 3 assists in this one, to go with his 4 in game number 1. As that shot from Pilcher shouldered away by Hill, and the rebound picked up by Jamison Dilks. Randy Stotts regrouping at the offensive end of the floor, and Shane Jackson works it off to Austin Stotts. Lyle Thompson pulls that one in. Now he gets the return feed from the corner as he gets knocked down and draws a penalty. Michael Grace is going to be called here as DeMood makes the save, and now some pushing and shoving between Stotts and Grace. But Six Nations, who pulled themselves within 1 with a Brian Cole goal in the first 30 seconds of period number 3, are now going to their first power play of the game. They already have a short-handed goal in this contest.
And they'll look to get one here on the power play. And Lyle Thompson's going to head to the bench here and not start the power play, but he's the one that drew the penalty. And this will be, as you said, the first power play look for Six Nations.
Not a bad secondary power play option if you're John Tavares.
Sneak him on there at some point.
Cody Jamison looks this one off. Randy Stotts cross floor. Nice passing and a better save by DeMoog. Up to the task was the Brooklyn goaltender. Right on the doorstep, Brendan Bomberry has been held off the score sheet. Now Ruddy to the net, stopped by Hill. Ball rolls into the corner as it gets picked up by Tyson Bell. So some chances both ends of the floor early in the power play. Now it's Bomberry again. Brendan Bomberry works it off, and Jamison up top. Jamison off to Randy Stotts. Stotts behind the back, pass into the corner for Austin Stotts, and he just missed. Stotts cross floors, Randy Stotts. His pass missed. Austin Stotts' shot missed on the near side, and that's over and back against Six Nations with just 3 seconds to go in the shot clock, 1:01 to go in the Brooklyn penalty. Just over 2.5 into period number 3. Fun one here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center. First home game of the season for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Wednesday nights will be a staple here on RogersTV Durham. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond with you. Boyd killing time, and just 5 seconds to go in the shot clock. Will put it in the corner, and shot clock and penalty clock off by 4 seconds here. As Six Nations back up the floor, down by 1. Lyle Thompson behind the back. Randy Stotts shot stopped by DeMood. Austin Stotts on the wall, back to Thompson behind the back. Randy Stotts cross floor, and Shane Jackson couldn't find it, so up the floor goes Michael White. White has Pilcher going to the net. White forced into the corner by Lyle Thompson. Back to 5-on-5, so both teams 1 for 1 on the penalty kill. Both teams 0 for 1 on the power play. Osborne on the wall. First 2 goals of the game. Now off to Ruddy. Steps in, he scores! Nolan Ruddy's first of the season regains the 2-goal advantage for Brooklyn.
And man, did he pick that corner there on Dustin Hill. grabs that ball, fakes a shot, coming from above his head, bounces it far side, and makes it a 9-7 lead. Regains the 2-goal lead. You'll see it here. He gets it near side, up over his head, across his arms, and throws that ball off the floor, far side of the net, past the goaltender.
Somebody's been watching his John Tavares highlights. The master of the bounce shot. Does it in front of one of the best to ever do it as Jamison scores, and Cody Jamison responds immediately for Six Nations. 9-8 game as the Chiefs are back within one, and that didn't take long.
And finally, one of the big guys gets on the board in Cody Jamison for Six Nations. You see it here, just lots of time out front. Maybe a bit of a screen there from Goodchild on Nick DeMood. But we got a 1-goal game once again here with plenty of time left on the clock.
Lots of time left to decide this one here in Whitby. Jamison again, back to Lyle Thompson. Thompson off to Brendan Bombury. Cross floor is Jamison holding. Cody Jamison stepping in, lost the handle on it. DeMood finds it in his crease. Jordy Jones-Smith.
He likes to run the floor.
He does it so well, but Lyle Thompson doing a good job of springing that ball free. Six Nations looking for possession as Ty Logan after it. Now picked up by Ruddy. Ruddy driving in. Keeping it away from Bell, works it back to Jones-Smith, bounces off the wall, and Trent Boyd will regroup. His shot stopped by Hill, rebound picked up, and Zach Kerrigan will hold. Devin Pfeiffer. 20 to shoot for Brooklyn. Off to Kerrigan, flips it in, and unable to find it was Tyler Goodchild, who has a goal in this one already. And Hill will fire this up to mid-floor for Thompson, who steps away from McCrory. Now he has Randy Stotts going to the net, stopped by DeMood, and the rebound picked up as well by the Brooklyn goaltender. Loose ball picked up by Randy Stotts behind the back to Austin. Austin Stotts stepping in and lost the handle as McDonnell knocked him down to the floor, and Zach Young will regroup for Brooklyn.
Stotts is slow to get up.
Plays that big physical game down low. Team down by one and needing a good defensive possession. 15 to shoot for Brooklyn. Kerrigan. Holding, stepping in, drops it for Pilcher. His shot stopped by Hill, and he finds the rebound using that mask to make the save in between the pipes for Six Nations. Charles Tommy Scanlon providing the screen, already with a goal in this one. Bombury to the corner for Randy Stotts. Out in front, Bombury's shot goes wide. He stepped in the crease anyhow, so it's Brooklyn ball. Pass for Peroni out of his reach, and that will be picked up by Brad Cree. Playing in his first game here for Six Nations in the early going of the 2023 Major Series Lacrosse season. Lyle Thompson out to the corner, and Bombury's pass for Jamison goes wide. Six Nations gets it back. Bombury behind the net for Jamison. Back to Bombury. A shot shouldered away by DeMood, and the rebound picked up by Ryan McCrory. Transition with speed for Brooklyn the other way. McDonnell works it off, gives the screen, goes for a change. 15 to shoot for Brooklyn. Lyle Thompson forces the turnover, looking for the loose ball, and able to get it to his teammate Kellen LeClaire. LeClaire into the offensive zone for Six Nations. Brian Cole with 2 in this one. Taking a shift at the offensive end of the floor. Randy Stotts holding, cross floor pass, deflected away by Pfeiffer. He pins his man up to the wall, and Six Nations looking for a chance in front, and the shot clock expires. Charles Tommy Scanlon couldn't get a shot away, and Brooklyn back up the floor once again. 9-8 lead. been as many as 5 in this one. Trent Boyd into the corner, driving to the net is Osborne. He scores. There's the hat trick. And the 2-goal lead restored again. Brooklyn hits double digits. 10-8 Brooklyn.
And Brad Cree's coming in, the new member of this team. He's only played for them for 2.5 periods, and he's coming in taking exception to maybe the celebration or something that was said, but nonetheless, Liam Osborne is third of the game, and what a one it was. As you see a look at it here, gets the ball, makes his move, spins around, falls to the floor, and as he does, just throws that one past the goaltender, Dustin Hill. Third of the game, 10-8 Brooklyn here with 11:50 to go. In a game where each side is scoring in bunches, it's a very, very close game.
Six Nations never holding a lead in this one. We were tied at zeros. And after Brooklyn took that 1-0 lead, they haven't been tied or trailing yet. Is Bombery looking to get Six Nations back within one as Damoud makes his save. Bombery picks up the rebound, and Randy Stotts regroups again. Shane Jackson stepping away from defenders, out in front for Jamison, hit the post. And that one goes down the floor. No over and back against Six Nations, so Hill will be able to regroup with Austin Stotts as Six Nations back up the floor. Randy Stotts stepping in, that shot about a foot high of the Brooklyn net. Bombery up top, shouldered away by Damoud, and it remains Chiefs ball.
And that shot there from Randy Stotts kind of summarizes what we've seen from Six Nations. They're getting their chances, they're getting their looks, but they're missing their shots. Either Nick Damoud's absolutely robbing them stone cold, or they're missing their shots like that by a foot.
Randy Stotts off to Bombery into the chest of Damoud. The rebound picked up by McCrory. Peroni and Jones Smith in transition for Brooklyn. Adam Peroni steps in, shot stopped by Hill, and the rebound stays in the Six Nations crease. Now Six Nations quickly back up the floor. Tyson Bell off to Bombery, can't control the pass as it back bounces into the corner. A Six Nations bounce. And Shane Jackson works this one back up top. Charles Tommy Scanlon's shot goes wide. And that one will be over and back against Six Nations after no deflection.
Yeah, and there another decent look there with some traffic in front, so had to force the shot somewhere, but that one just misses the net, goes all the way down as we're just past the midway mark of this third period.
2-goal lead for Brooklyn. Can they make it 3 on this possession? Garrigan back up top, and that shot stopped by Hill. Rebound in front. Pfeiffer, who's still looking for his first goal of the season, unable to get it as back in transition, Liam Osborne was sent hard down to the floor by Ty Logan. Brooklyn bench wanted a call, didn't get one. 9.5 to go in period 3. Patrick Corbett works it off to Randy Stotts. Stotts shoots, stopped by Damoud. Rebound picked up by Adam Peroni. Up the floor in transition. Trying to keep it away from Thompson. Plays it off to Boyd. Boyd holding and waiting, trying to spin away from Tyson Bell. Back up top, Luke Pilcher. Works this one off, driving to the net was Goodchild, knocked out of the cradle of his stick as we get a tie up on the near side of the floor, but nobody wants to be the one to send the other team to the power play at this point.
And that's what Jason Crosby is going to be preaching to his team. 10-8 game. We don't want to give them any opportunity to get back in this game. So keep it clean. Play smart.
Lyle Thompson stepping in, and it looks like a penalty will be coming up here to Brooklyn for tripping. So Jacob Martineau will be off to the penalty box as we get a water break for our goaltenders with 8:33 to go in period number 3. A 10-8 lead for Brooklyn, and like we just mentioned, you don't want to be the team that gives the other one the life they need, and this opportunity for Six Nations will be huge, and this water break is a free timeout for John Tavares to draw it up at the Six Nations bench.
Which he is, as we see at the bottom of your screen there. He's got his power play corp right there on the floor, taking direction from the legend John Tavares. And Jason Crosby, different approach here. Has his guys on the floor. He trusts them as we take a look at that penalty there. And that's one of those penalties we said that's not retaliatory at all. And if anything, you might say if you're Jason Crosby, well, you know, there's Lyle Thompson, a former NLL MVP, cutting towards the slot. And we tripped him up so we couldn't get a decent shot on. So could say that was a goal-saving play. But nonetheless, you don't want to go shorthanded, which they are now.
Jamison up top. Lyle Thompson has space, and his shot gets deflected away up the floor. Can Brooklyn grab it? They tip it forward into the Six Nations zone, and Cody Jamison, the first one back. Jordy Jones-Smith retreats back into Brooklyn territory. Has a chance in front for Six Nations, and that shot goes wide. Picked up by Michael Grace. Being pressured as he works it up the floor. A Six Nations bounce off the stanchion. And we get a whistle here and a restart for Six Nations with 1:20 to go in the power play. So they'll get their next unit of power play players on the floor. Randy Stotts with Brendan Bombury. Bombury up top, the return feed. Stotts, his shot deflected in front, and Damoud finds the loose ball. He'll send it down the floor, and Kerrigan, fresh off the bench, has a 2-on-1 with Grace. Now it's Grace in front, shouldered away by Hill, and Six Nations resets. 50 seconds to go in the man advantage. Lyle Thompson, cross-floor pass, and that one just missed. How did it stay out? Austin Stotts in front. Knocked out of his cradle, but picked up by Six Nations again. Lyle Thompson. Back to Cody Jamison. That shot deflected in front. Damoud wasn't ready for it, but he made the save anyhow. Shot clock and penalty clock differentiate by 2 seconds. Parker Pfeiffer trying to kill as much time as possible. Some great chances for Six Nations, including Shane Jackson right in front. And he looks skyward after he couldn't convert. 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. Pfeiffer's shot. A quick reaction save from Hill. Pfeiffer looking for the offensive rebound as he gets dumped down to the floor. Brooklyn bench wanting a call. They won't get one. Pfeiffer still battling hard for the ball in the corner. And he'll get some stick taps from his teammates for his efforts there, killing off time. 6:20 to go in period number 3, a 10-8 lead for Brooklyn. Home opener in the 2023 Major Series lacrosse season. Lyle Thompson off to Austin Stotts. Cody Jamison gets the screen from Charles Tommy Scanlon. Now a pass down low, knocked away. John Leclerc up the floor for Adam Peroni. Peroni into the corner. He'll go off for a change, and Trent Boyd will corral it for Brooklyn. 15 seconds to go in the shot clock for Brooklyn. Pilcher, his pass intercepted in the Six Nations zone, but that one turned over. Trent Boyd now, and a fresh shot clock for Brooklyn. Under 5.5 to play here in period number 3 on this Wednesday night from Whitby. Ruddy with a goal in this one. His shot goes high. Rebound on the far side as Osborne checked off the ball, and Six Nations bounces off the check. Ty Logan off to Bombury. Has Jackson the trailer. Jackson driving in, knocked out of his cradle. Bounces in front. Jackson stepped in the crease. It's Brooklyn ball.
Yeah, Brooklyn's got to be pleased with that penalty kill, but also the way they're just playing right now. Playing smart, calm, collected. Using the shot clock as best they can, not rushing things, not making many rash decisions.
Parker Pfeiffer back to Devin Pfeiffer. Now that shot from Kerrigan stopped by Hill. Six Nations conceded the first 4 goals of the game, have since outscored Brooklyn 8-6, but it's a 10-8 lead for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Lyle Thompson setting up offensively, 4:20 to go in the third. Austin Stotts driving to the net through Damoud and through the crease. Damoud pleading with the referee is Ben McDonnell pushing Stotts out of the crease, and Austin Stotts looks like he's being sent to the Six Nations penalty box.
Yeah.
And he's
And
not
he's still
happy
going.
with the call. So Brooklyn is going to the power play with 4:16
Oh,
to go.
there
Technical
Yeah,
or an unsportsmanlike penalty going against Austin Stotts, and
he's
his
done.
night is over. Big offensive player for Six Nations. 2 goals in this one. His team down by 2 with 4:16 to go in the third.
And you'll
Drives
see,
to the net, drives through to Mood, and then picks up an unsportsmanlike on his way to the box.
he's going to say he got shoved, which he did, but he kind of continued. He didn't really let up and try to avoid Nick DeMood at all. And I don't know who he's really arguing with at that point. I think it was Zach Young, he tried to trip him on purpose as he got shoved out of the way, but then he just got in an argument with himself, it seemed, for the most part, as he got escorted to the box. So we got 4 minutes on the board for Brooklyn here on the power play, who will look to use it as smartly as they can. They have given up a shorthanded goal in this one already in their first power play opportunity. And they're just going to send Patrick Corbet to the box to serve these 4 or less minutes.
John Tavares initially had Charles Tommy Scanlon hop over the boards and then changes his mind.
Yeah.
You can come back to the bench. I might be able to use you here in the last 4.5 minutes. Brooklyn, time is their friend as that shot on the power play stopped by Hill. Kerrigan looking for the chance, and away goes Cole. Brian Cole driving in. He scores! Short-handed goal from Brian Cole. 3:47 to go in the third. That's a hat trick for him. And Six Nations is within 1 with just over 3 minutes to go.
And we've seen that before this game from Brian Cole. This time all alone, not taking a pass, takes the bump, dives to the floor and beats the goaltender Nick DeMood and makes it a 1-goal game, 10-9 here. Brooklyn still on the power play, of course, for 3:31, but there's 3:47 on the clock, and that's the second shorthanded goal of the game, and the only 2 that have been scored on any power play were both shorthanded by Six Nations.
Specialty teams haven't gone the way of the team on the power play as Jamison looking for a chance in the offensive zone. Picks up the loose ball and works this one back to Brad Cree. So Six Nations with possession again.
And Lyle Thompson coming on here.
There's a guy who can do it 1-on-4. Thompson works this one back to Bombury. Jackson off to Thompson. He shoots. That gets stopped and into the corner. Nick DeMood making a save for Brooklyn. Jackson picks up the rebound. Shane Jackson. Charles Tommy Scanlon, who almost went to the penalty box, on the floor, gets checked off the ball by Michael Grace. And Brooklyn, it's this balance of you're trying to score offensively, but you're trying to kill off the clock. Zach Kerrigan had a shot early on in the shot clock to start the power play, and that led to the transition goal by Brian Cole.
And I think here they'd like to get one as much as they can near the end of the shot clock.
10 seconds to go in the shot clock. Boyd off to Kerrigan, back to Boyd. Pfeiffer, pass off the wall, 2 to shoot. They need to shoot. That gets stopped by Hill and goes out of play. John Tavares is arguing that that one was after the shot clock. So if that shot came off before the shot clock ended, it hit Hill into the crowd, it would be Brooklyn ball. If it was after the shot clock had ended, it's Six Nations ball. So this is a huge call with 2:22 to go in the third period in a 1-goal game. Six Nations in the box for 2:06 of that 2:22.
And I didn't hear the horn go off, of course. I don't think anybody did, but I thought I did see the shot clock wind down to 0. But you'd think that would clue in the horn, so I think that's what the officials are probably discussing here. And yep, they're gonna give the ball to Six Nations and say it was a shot clock violation. A big call there, as you said.
Shot clock violation against Brooklyn, and Lyle Thompson up the floor for Six Nations. 10-9 Brooklyn, trying to pick up their first win of the season after losing game 1 on Sunday to Coburg. Thompson, 12 points in his first 2 games coming into this one. 6 in each of the first 2. That shot by Jackson, stopped by DeMood, and he'll settle it in the crease. Brooklyn on the power play and up the floor. Boyd looks this one off to Devin Pfeiffer. He goes hard down to the floor and gets back up as takes Kyle Rubish down to the floor with him as well. Now it's Boyd setting up again, 9 to shoot for Brooklyn. Cross floor pass, Pfeiffer knocked off the ball and Hill picks it up and brings it up the floor with Tyson Bell. Bell looking for a screen from Charles Tommy Scanlon. He gets it, creates space, and Bombury into the corner for Lyle Thompson. Into the middle. Thompson holding it himself, being watched by 2 Brooklyn defenders. 9 to shoot. His shot stopped by DeMood. That rebound shot stopped by the post as Bombury looking for a chance. Ball goes back into Six Nations territory, but because it went off the post, no over and back, and a timeout called by John Tavares with 55 seconds to go. Still 40 seconds left in the Brooklyn penalty. But I'd imagine that Dustin Hill will start this chance for Six Nations on the bench, and then as soon as Brooklyn gets possession, will run his way back to the Six Nations net.
Yeah, this is it when you're looking at it. John Tavares over the bench, talking to his team, as is, well, I should say not as is Jason Crosby. He's just letting his boys talk it out themselves and rest up. But yeah, John Tavares talking it out with his team and is almost thinking at this point, this is the chance, this is the possession you need. Yes, you are shorthanded here, but you're down 1. This is your opportunity, as after it, you got to force a turnover or it might be a bit too late.
28 seconds to shoot. 25 seconds realistically to shoot because you don't want to give Brooklyn too much time. You're trying to get this shot off quickly if you're Six Nations to at least give you a chance at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn on the power play for 40 more seconds, 55 seconds to go in the game. A 10-9 Brooklyn lead. Lyle Thompson, the restart from center floor. Dustin Hill on the bench for Six Nations. What a fun one to start this homestand for Brooklyn in 2023. Cody Jamieson in the corner. Steps away from Young. Jamieson up top. Jamieson steps in, shouldered away by DeMood. That one off the wall. Bombury picks up. 35 seconds to go, fresh shot clock. Lyle Thompson. He shoots and scores!
What a
the
time.
2017 NLL MVP ties us at 10 with 27 seconds to go in the third.
What a time to get his first point of the game with 27 and a half to go to tie it up after being down all game. The last time we were tied, it was 20 minutes left in the first period. And right there from well out with a screen or 2 in front, he gets it shorthanded, the third one of the game for the Chiefs. And they will still have 12 seconds to kill off here.
Six Nations wins the faceoff, and Brian Cole, who has the hat trick for the Chiefs, picks up. So they will have the last possession of the game if McDonnell can't force the time count violation. Up the floor, loose ball picked up by Travassos, and timeout called by Jason Crosby with 9.6 to go in the third period. He motioned towards the referee that he wanted a timeout off the faceoff if his team won the faceoff. They didn't, but they forced the turnover as Cody Jamieson couldn't find it at the offensive end of the floor. So Brooklyn has 9.6 seconds to try and win this one in regulation.
It's going to come down to the last shot here to see if we continue or what goes on. Yeah, 9.6 left. As we said, many guys still not here for Brooklyn. Some finishing up the NLL season. Some haven't arrived yet post NLL seasons for their respective teams. A lot of new faces to the MSL for Brooklyn. Some of them will be on the floor here in the last sub 10 seconds of this one as we're tied at 10. And Nick DeMood's gonna park it on the bench for the extra attacker. And they're gonna have to move the ball up pretty quick. A set play here, we'll see what they've come up with. Six Nations positioning themselves in between the middle of the floor and their respective defenders. Here we go.
9 seconds to go. Brooklyn with a chance to win it. Pilcher off to Boyd. Boyd back to Pilcher, and time expires on period number 3 as a shot after the final horn from Tyson Bell. So we'll see the results of this, but Tyson Bell with a strong right hook to the face of Liam Osborne at the end of regulation, but we are off to overtime here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center, tied at 10.
And we've seen that from Tyson Bell a lot this game. And you can hear the Brooklyn bench at the end, and they're still complaining about it. Some of their players are saying, how is there no call there? Yeah, we will be going to some extra lacrosse here, as I call it, some free lacrosse.
10-10 game. Lyle Thompson's 4th of the year. Tyson Bell will go off for roughing.
For that right there, you just saw it.
Yeah. So it was actually a shot to the head of Zach Kerrigan. So we might see 4-on-3 here for Brooklyn to start overtime.
Can we say Zach Kerrigan's getting that superstar treatment already here in game number 2?
Hey, I mean, when you
can't touch the big names, can you?
When you score 4 in game 1 and 2 in game 2, 6 goals in 2 games. So 2 minutes on the board against Six Nations. Trying to get some explanations from the refs. Cody Jameson having a conversation with John Tavares. Same Brian Cole trying to get an explanation from the referees as well. We're off to a 10-minute overtime here at the Iroquois Park Sports Center, and this game's been fun since the jump. Brooklyn gets out to a 4-0 lead. Six Nations makes it 4-3. It's 8-3. It's 8-6. We get to a 10-8 game for Brooklyn. A goal with 3.5 minutes to go for Six Nations brings them within 27 seconds to go. The big name Lyle Thompson, who comes to the Major Series Lacrosse after leading his PLL team in points last season, signed to take a season away from the PLL, spend more time with his family while he's playing for Six Nations here. And the Georgia Swarm superstar is feeling pretty good.
And if you're Six Nations, you got 3 shorthanded goals this game. And you'll start this overtime shorthanded as well.
5-on-4 overtime for Brooklyn as the referees talking it over. 10-10. First home game of the season for Brooklyn, and if this is what we get over the summer, it's going to be a lot of fun, partner.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great, and get some more guys coming out, up the skill level. It'll be a great season.
Six Nations gets the first possession of overtime. Lyle Thompson tied us at 10. His shot stopped by the move. Zach Young couldn't find the loose ball, but it's McDonnell up the floor for Brooklyn. Ben McDonnell regrouping at the offensive end of the floor, works this one off for Parker Pfeiffer. Liam Osborne off the bench with a hat trick for Brooklyn. Cross floor pass. Osborne up top. That shot shouldered away by Hill. Bounces off the glass right beside the Six Nations bench, and Kerrigan spins away from Thompson. Kerrigan into the corner for Goodchild. Now back up top. Pfeiffer walks in. That shot gets blocked, and away goes Six Nations. Lyle Thompson knocked off the loose ball by Liam Osborne. 1 minute to go in the power play for Brooklyn, and a fresh shot clock here. Pfeiffer off to Boyd. Down low for Osborne. Osborne side of the net, off to Boyd. Now up top, Pfeiffer. That quick shot by Kerrigan, stopped by Hill. And he's able to trap down that loose ball. 39 seconds to go in the power play for Brooklyn. Only had shorthanded goals in this one. 3 of them for Six Nations. That pass picked up by Travassos. Jack Travassos back at the offensive end of the floor. Penalty clock has 1 less second than the shot clock here. Kerrigan drops this one back for Pfeiffer. Now off to Boyd. Pfeiffer up top, off to Boyd. His shot. Stick got hit as he tried to shoot. Just 5 to shoot for Brooklyn. Down low, chance in front. That shot goes wide. Now another shot, and that gets stopped by Hill. Devin Pfeiffer, end of the power play for Brooklyn. Brooklyn with the offensive possession. 5-on-5. Devin Pfeiffer stepping out. His pass off for Kerrigan. Sidesteps, he scores! Zach Kerrigan, hat-trick goal, and it's a game winner. 2 minutes, 12 seconds into overtime, and Brooklyn picks up win number 1 of the season and knocks off the undefeated Six Nation Chiefs.
First win of the year for Brooklyn, and it comes in overtime against Six Nations, who dropped their first game of the year. And none other than the hot Zach Kerrigan to do it for Brooklyn here in overtime just after the penalty expired. They kept possession, which was key, and worked it around, used the shot clock, and put it in the back of the net to win this one 11-10.
Well, you talked about then superstar treatment. We might be seeing the birth of a Brooklyn Lacrosse Club superstar in the first 2 games of this 2023 Major Series Lacrosse season. Zach Kerrigan, 7th of the year, 3rd of the game, and the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club pick up a big 11-10 win in overtime to knock off Six Nations, who had previously been undefeated in their first 2 games of the Major Series Lacrosse season. We'll see you again next Wednesday here from the Iroquois Park Sports Center, and all summer long for home games, Brooklyn Lacrosse Club Lacrosse and Major Series Lacrosse right here on Rogers TV Durham. Jack Moore, Andrew Osmond, John Green, and our whole crew here at Rogers TV Durham saying good night from Whitby.